What do we got here? We got 12-4 homework, binomial distribution, starting off with all your end of course stuff. You have to show as much work as possible on these. So the first one up here, which expression is equivalent to this, is I guess a factoring thing to some degree. Or maybe see what this is and do some work. I guess the best way to do this is probably just to see what this is. That's x plus 2 times x plus 2. I'm a little sleepy. We distribute the 5, so maybe this may not be the best way, but it'll get me the answer. Now x plus 2 times x plus 2 is x squared plus 2x plus 2 more, so plus 4x plus 4. Let's put all our stuff together. We've got an x squared. We have 4x minus 5x, which is negative x. And then we have minus 4. Assuming I made no mistakes. Plus 4. Yeah, I made some mistakes, didn't I? 4 minus 6 is negative 6. There we go. Now that guy factors pretty easy peasy. You can pull an x from both terms. That's probably the easiest way to do it. That's by hand. It says by hand, but let's just check with a calculator. Okay, you can do that. I'm going to choose since I have a TI-84, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type the original expression in y1. And I'm going to look for what's called graphical equivalency. Of course, most of you by now have probably hit the fast forward button on the video, and you're paying no attention whatsoever, because, that's what you do. So I'm going to do a zoom 6. I'm going to look at the original function's graph. Now, my answer choice should look just like that. My answer choice was x times x minus 1, and I'm foggy this morning. I mean, you can see even I was making simple mistakes. But if it's the same thing, I'll have a complete overlap, complete redraw. And they are. Easy way to check my work. Alright, number 2, to the nearest tenth, what is the solution of the equation 4300e to the 0.007x minus 123 equals 5,000? What is it? Well, we'll just start here. We'll add 123. And we'll divide out the 4300. And I really don't care what 5123 over 4300 is. I don't know why I'm making that negative either. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do log is bay. Bay C. So ln, argument is going to be this. And that's going to equal 0.07x. And the next thing I would do is I'd divide out the 0.07. And this is what I have. There's my answer. So let's see what that is. We have the natural log of 5123 sitting over 4300. She is divided by 0.07. There's my answer, roughly 2.5. Now, you'd be an absolute fool if you didn't y1, y2 this thing. If you see stuff like this on your end of course test, and you're not going to y1, y2, there's something wrong with you. Plain and simple. We had 4300 e to the 0.07x, and she had to equal 5,000. Now we're going to have to adjust the window settings here. No, what we'll do is zoom 6 like we always do. We're going to have to look up 5,100 units or so. I'm waiting for that guy right there to finish working. Window Set the y max to be, I'm just going to go with 6,000. I should see an answer. I mean, 2.5 was an answer, so. And there she is. Second trace. 5. Enter, enter, enter. 2.15. Well, that's weird. Do I have a typo? Oh, it's supposed to be, I forgot the minus, didn't I? Ah, Milbrath. I'd love to tell you it's a Monday, but it's a Tuesday. Try that again. Second trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. There you go, 2.5018. Moving forward. The value of an automobile T years after it is purchased is given by the function value is 38,000 times 0.84 to the T, which statement is true. So here's more instruction than you want. This is written in the form AB to the X. B equals 0.84. And B, by the way, is called your growth factor. It's your growth or decay factor. Now, since it's 0.84, this is telling me that on the next rendition, I'll be 84% of my previous value. This is decay. 1 minus 0.84 equals 0.16. So what I'm doing is I'm losing 16% each year. That plain and simple. Value decreases by 16%. A lot of kids would pick 1 or 2. I'd love to say it's because you were high and didn't know any better, but it's not. You just don't understand math. Which function represents exponential decay? That's kind of been talked about up here. So if you have a form a b to the x, that's what you're looking at. If the absolute value of b is stuck between 0 and 1, then decay. If the absolute value of b is bigger than 1, growth. So here's b is going to be the guy with the exponent. If I look at this one right here, I can tell you b is 1/4. That's decay all day long. Plain and simple. That's a growth, growth, growth. Now we do have this. We have that negative exponent. But that is decay that's been reflected on the x-axis. It should actually look like growth, wouldn't it? Yeah, we're just going to resort to that definition. I guess an argument could probably be made that this is the best one. Ah, here it is. Forgive me, I'm sleepy. But negative exponent. There's the issue. But negative exponent. That turns choice 1 into p of x equals 4 to the x. And that is growth. So let's look at number 2. Number 2 is q of x equals 1.8 to the negative x. And it has the negative exponent. That would turn into q of x equals 1 over 1.8 to the x. Oh yeah, I was stuck up in exponential space. There we go. Now if I take 1 and divide it by 1.8, I'm going to get a fraction. I should be able to make it a nice looking fraction of that. Yeah, 5/9. So anyways, it turns into 5/9 to the x. That was called q. And that, boys and girls, is decay. So on this New York Regents exam, I almost missed it too, being careless and tired. Correct answer is number 2. I don't know why that one's in there twice. Interesting. I need to make sure that's not actually what's going on here. Number 5, the expression blah 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 is equivalent to blah blah blah. So we can do this a couple different ways. One of the ways we can do is just straight up long division. Nothing wrong with long division. I know a lot of people don't like it, but long division is going to take a while. We're just going to let x equal -2. Remember doing this? Throw a -2 out front, coefficients in the numerator. Need a placeholder on this one. There is no x cubed. -5. Some teachers won't teach synthetic division because they just want to make sure kids can do long division, which is valid. Synthetic division is kind of unique. So we drop the 1, then we multiply, and we add, and we multiply, and we add, and we multiply, and we add, and we multiply, and we add. And this, boys and girls, is my remainder. Assuming I made no mistakes. See the 2? Everything else looks like it lines up because we have a constant, we have an x squared, and an x cubed. So, choice 1. What else could you do? It may not be apparent to you, but you can always check for equivalency. These videos are for y'all, even though I'm short on time. Like, Kyle is going to be knocking on my door in just a minute, so I'm going to have to stop. But I can type in the original function. I did this before in a previous problem on this particular sheet. So here is the original function. Maybe. Anyways, there we go. Original function. Zoom 6, see what she looks like. Looks like a W. And I believe that the equivalent function is x cubed minus 2x to the second minus x, and that's coming from looking over here, okay, plus 6 plus 2 pieces of x plus 2. This should be the equivalent reduced function. And I should have overlap. And I do. So there you go. The sum of the first 20 of the series -2 plus 6, -18 plus 54 minus is, this would be a pain in the butt to write out. Like the next term here is going to be 54 times -3. Which is -162. So that was supposed to be -162. And then you multiply by a -3 again. And I am just so tired, positive 486, so plus 486. And then you have a minus sign, because it's going to be 486 times 3. And that goes on. It would take you a while to write out all 20 of these, so your best bet here is to use a formula. The sum of n terms is the first term times 1 minus the ratio to the n, sitting over 1 minus the ratio. Your ratio here is literally second over first. So it's going to be 6 over -2, which is -3. And the first term is -2. So I have 1 minus, negatives get put in parentheses, there's 20 terms. We did a whole bunch of these. That's going to be over 1 minus a -3. We did a bunch of them. It was on several basics quizzes. Couldn't get a lot of kids to do it, but I gave you a chance to figure it out. I did. It's not my fault you didn't want to do it. That's 100% on you. Anyways, I'm just pushing the old buttons in the calculator. There you go. 174392, blah, blah, blah. Choice 3. All right, number 7. It says f of half, right? So let's talk about that. That literally says x is 1/2. We shift left. X minus a half is 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply everything by 2 to make it look better. 2x minus 1 is 0. So, gone, gone. All right. Now I want to know what f of a half is. That's the question. What is f of a half? That means everywhere I see an x, I plug in a half. 2 times a half to the 4th minus a half cubed minus 16 times a half plus an 8. That's going to be negative 8 plus 8, which is 0. That's cool. A half to the 4th is going to be a 16th. It's 2 times a 16th minus a half to the cubed is an 8th. This becomes an 8th minus an 8th. Be right there, Kyle. I get 0 plus 0. So there's that one. There you go. And now students are showing up, so I have to stop.